the small, idyllic town of Rotenburg an der Fulda in central Germany. A quiet, almost sleepy place, like something pulled from a travel brochure. Children play in the streets. Elderly neighbors greet each other at the bakery and post office. Everyone knows everyone. No one suspects that inside one of these houses, an ordinary brick villa with a red-tiled roof, one of the most shocking crimes in European history is about to unfold. Not out of hatred, not for greed, not for domination, but from agreement, from the desire to be eaten, literally. March 2001. The police receive an anonymous tip. Someone claims that inside the home of Armin Meiwes, a computer technician and former soldier in the German army, there may be evidence of cannibalism. Officers arrive with little urgency. Another internet weirdo, they think. Maybe some kind of fetish. Maybe animal abuse. But what they find inside leads one officer to later say, it wasn't just a house, it was a horror movie set, in real life. In the basement, butcher equipment, a table with restraints, mirrors, cameras. In the kitchen, a freezer filled with unidentifiable meat, carefully portioned, labeled. In the cupboard above the sink, videotapes, and on them, documentation of a crime so unimaginable that even the most seasoned investigators had to stop watching the footage just to keep from passing out. But that's not all. On Armin's computer, investigators find dozens of hours of archived online chats, forums, private messages, handwritten personal ads. One of them reads, "Looking for a young, healthy man who will allow me to eat him. Clean. No rush. Pain welcomed." Strangest of all, the replies. Dozens of people expressing their willingness to donate their bodies, literally, as a gift. But among them was one who truly meant it, one who actually came, one who stepped through Armin's door and never walked back out. His name, Bernd Jürgen Brandes, a man who willingly agreed to die and to be eaten. Over the next several minutes, I'll take you deep into the heart of this horrifying tale. A story that shattered moral boundaries and challenged the very foundations of law. A story that asks a question few dare to consider. Can murder be consensual? Or perhaps even more terrifying, is the true horror not in the crime itself, but in the fact that both the killer and the victim were satisfied with what happened? But this is only the beginning. Stay with me, because what you're about to hear will make even the internet feel like a place where safety is an illusion. At first glance, Armin Meiwes looked like any other man. Quiet, polite. A former soldier turned computer technician. Lived alone, paid his bills. He was just another face in the neighborhood, the kind of person who blended into the background so well, you'd forget he was there. But inside, Armin harbored something else, a hunger, not just for flesh, but for possession. He didn't want to kill for power, or pleasure, or revenge. He wanted someone to belong to him completely, forever, to live inside him, to become part of him, literally. And when the internet arrived, it opened a door that should have never existed. A door into the minds of others who dreamed of the same darkness. No rules, no moderators, no one watching, just chat rooms and usernames and the quiet, pulsing shadow of anonymity. That's where Armin found a place called the Cannibal Cafe, a real website, publicly accessible, where people openly discuss their fantasies about being eaten or eating others. Armin, using the nickname Frankie, posted his own ad. Clear, direct. Looking for a young, fit man willing to be slaughtered and consumed. No pain avoided. Must be serious. And the replies came. Some were trolls, others were curious, but a few were completely serious. One of them was Bernd Jürgen Brandes, a 43-year-old engineer from Berlin, well-dressed, intelligent, financially stable. He had a good job, a normal life, and a secret desire to be destroyed. Bernd didn't just respond, he engaged, he planned, he wanted this. The two men began exchanging emails and chat messages nearly every day. Their conversations were horrifying in their detail. Bernd didn't just agree to be killed, he had requests. He wanted Armin to cut off his genitals first and cook them. They would share the meal together. Only after that would Armin be allowed to end his life. They discussed everything: what type of knife to use, how to minimize infection, how to preserve the body, how to cook different parts. It wasn't an act of impulse. It was a ritual, cold, meticulous, mutually designed. Soon, Bernd booked a train ticket. Destination: Rotenburg. A man preparing not to run from death, but to meet it, willingly. March 25th, 2001. Bernd Brandes arrives in Rotenburg. He steps off the train wearing a coat, carrying a small bag, and a bottle of cold liquor tucked inside. He greets Armin Meiwes for the very first time, face to face. Two men who, just weeks earlier, had only known each other by user names. Now, they're shaking hands, quiet, polite, like an awkward first date. But this will be the last date Bernd ever has. They return to Armin's home, a modest brick house on a quiet residential street. Inside, it looks ordinary, lived in, tidy. But in the basement is a world constructed with precision and dark purpose. A butcher's table, custom built and fitted with leather restraints. Mirrors on the wall, a video camera mounted on a tripod, surgical lights, sterile tools, and next to it all, a freezer. Empty. Waiting. Upstairs, the two men sit together. They drink, talk, laugh nervously. Bernd takes sleeping pills along with a strong sedative. He undresses. And then, he speaks the words Armin has been waiting to hear. "I'm ready." Armin retrieves a kitchen knife. The first attempt fails. The blade is too dull. Bernd winces in pain. The second attempt works. Armin cuts off his genitals, just as requested. Blood pours across the floor. Bernd moans and trembles but does not scream. He stares ahead, dazed, alive, barely. Armin brings a pan to the stove. He tries to fry the severed organ with garlic and butter, but the meat burns. The pan is too hot. They can't eat it. Bernd's condition worsens. He grows pale, weak, slipping in and out of consciousness. Armin draws a warm bath and helps him inside. Hours pass. Then, as dawn begins to break, Armin lifts Bernd's limp body from the tub and leads him to the basement. With one swift motion, he slits his throat. It's not over. He then hangs the body from a meat hook, like livestock. He dismembers it with surgical care, weighs each cut, wraps them in plastic, labels the packages by body part and storage date, stores them in the freezer. He records everything, even the taste. Over the next 10 months, he eats Bernd piece by piece. Shoulder, thigh, heart, cheek. 2 hours of the crime are caught on video. Footage never released to the public, but confirmed by law enforcement and used in court. It's been described as more disturbing than any horror film because it's real, and no one ran. But now the question isn't what happened. It's whether it was even illegal. December 2002, the police finally connect the dots. An anonymous user reports disturbing posts from a man who seems to be bragging about having eaten someone in real life. Investigators trace the IP address. It leads straight to Armin Meiwes. They enter the house. They find the tapes, the freezer, the notes, the archived chat logs. And now, the German justice system faces a question it has never had to answer before. Because here's the truth. Cannibalism, in itself, is not illegal in Germany. Not at the time. And Bernd Brandes? He wasn't just a victim. He consented. Not once, but dozens of times. In writing, in recorded conversations, in videos. So how do you prosecute a man for murder when the so-called victim begged for it? In 2004, the first trial concludes. Mayweather is sentenced to 8 years and 6 months in prison, convicted of manslaughter at the request of the victim. The courtroom is stunned. The public is outraged. People scream outside the courthouse. Protesters hold up signs that read, "A monster walks among us." But legally, what else could the court do? This was uncharted territory. The state appeals. 2 years later, in 2006, a retrial begins. This time, prosecutors argue that Armin Mayweather didn't just follow orders. He manipulated a vulnerable man to satisfy a long-standing violent fantasy. That the killing, though consensual, was sexually motivated. That the act wasn't just a transaction. It was a deeply depraved gratification of control and dominance. The court listens. Psychiatric evaluations are presented. Chat logs, the video, the recordings. In the end, the retrial brings a very different verdict. Life imprisonment for murder and disturbing the peace of the dead. The ruling sets a legal precedent. Consent does not matter when the act leads to the destruction of human life. The case is closed, but the law has changed. And so has the world's understanding of what it means to truly want to die, and to help someone die. But what about the man himself? What kind of person can do something like this and feel at peace? In the next chapter, we'll go inside the mind of the Rotenburg Cannibal. And what you'll find there may be colder than any prison cell. In the prison interview room, Armin Mayweather sits upright, hands folded in his lap. He's calm, clear, measured. He answers every question, doesn't flinch, doesn't excuse. And most unsettling of all, he doesn't lie. He describes everything, the planning, the execution, the consumption. His tone, matter of fact, like a man recounting a recipe, not a murder. Psychologists who evaluated Mayweather were puzzled. He wasn't psychotic. He didn't suffer from hallucinations. He didn't show signs of antisocial personality disorder. In fact, by all measurable standards, he was sane. What they found instead was something far more insidious, a lifelong, obsessive fantasy of possession. He didn't want to hurt someone. He wanted to keep someone, forever, inside him. His upbringing was marked by isolation, an absent father, a controlling mother. No real friendships. Armin grew up lonely, detached. His fantasy of consuming someone began in childhood and grew, slowly, methodically, over decades. The internet didn't plant the seed, it just watered it. And when he found Bernd Brandes, he believed it was fate. 2 men, 1 desire, and no one to stop them. In interviews, Armin says, "Bernd wanted this. He asked for it. I respected that." He even claims it brought them closer, that in those final hours, they formed a unique connection, a bond beyond death, a union that, in his words, was eternal. But then, he says something else. "If I hadn't been caught, I probably would have done it again." Those words send shivers through the courtroom, through newsrooms, through anyone trying to understand how a man can plan, perform, and document such a crime, and still speak about it with serenity. Today, Mayweather lives a quiet life behind bars. He works in the prison library, reads books, helps other inmates study. He never caused trouble, never resisted, never cried. But he's never said, "I'm sorry." He simply says he no longer feels the need. So is Armin Mayweather a monster? Or a product of unchecked desire, born in silence, fed by loneliness, and released by anonymity? Inside his mind, there is no chaos, no fire, just cold logic and terrifying peace. But the most disturbing part, he's not the only one. The verdict was delivered. Armin Mayways was sentenced to life in prison, locked away. Society on paper was protected, but fear didn't fade. Because the true terror didn't lie in the act itself, but in the realization that he wasn't alone. In the months that followed Mayways' arrest, German authorities and cybercrime units across Europe began scouring the digital underground. What they found was worse than expected. Dozens of forums, hundreds of users, some openly seeking victims, others offering themselves to be consumed. Many of them referenced Mayways by name, calling him a pioneer, a visionary, a martyr of ultimate intimacy. The Cannibal Cafe was shut down, its archives deleted, but like a virus, the idea had already spread. New forums emerged under different names. Encrypted servers, coded language, hidden communities buried in layers of the internet most people will never see. Germany, shaken to its core, re-examined its laws. Definitions of murder were revised. Legal loopholes were closed. But morality cannot be legislated. And the internet, it remembers and adapts. In 2015, Mayways submitted a request for early release. He was denied. But in theory, one day, he could walk free. He claims he's changed, that he no longer feels the urge, that he's at peace. But who could ever be sure? Because this story, the story of the man who agreed to be eaten, doesn't end with prison walls or courtroom verdicts. It replicates. It evolves. Every time someone sits alone in the dark, behind a glowing screen, every time a fantasy finds an echo, every time a boundary is tested, the legacy lives on. And you? How many times have you stared into a screen, wondering if the person on the other side is really human, or something hungry? If this story disturbed you, it should. Subscribe to Duskwoven for more true horror and dark documentaries. New episodes every week. Stay curious. Stay cautious. And never forget, some monsters knock, others send you a message.